guys, so today I'm bringing you another Bearded Dragon video. It has been a while since I've done an informational video and I'm very sorry, but now is a really good one because a lot of you have been requesting how to care for your Bearded Dragon, beginner Bearded Dragon tips, stuff like that. So this is going to cover everything you need to know about getting a Bearded Dragon, whether you're a beginner Bearded Dragon owner or you're looking forward to getting one. Before I start this video, I'm just going to say that I'm not going to be focusing on their behavior, so like the brumation experience and also the shedding experience. If you want to know all about shedding, I have a Shedding 101 video that you can watch, and if you want to know about brumation, it's not really informative, it's just me ranting on my brumation experience, then it's right here. But that's totally up to you guys. I'm just going to be covering the basics and what you need when you get your Bearded Dragon. Okay, so first off, I'm going to give you a little background information on Bearded Dragons. This is a Bearded Dragon, also known as Pagona, the scientific name. They're called Bearded Dragons because there's a beard right here that puffs out really big when they become aggressive. They originate from Australia, so really any type of Bearded Dragon you get came from Australia. Not literally, but that's where they originate from. Now, the biome they live in or originate from is more of a desert-like area. I'm not talking about the sandy deserts that really first come to mind is, oh, sandy desert. No, a desert meaning like clay ground or hard rock. So no, they do not live on a sand, substrate. They live on like more clay areas. And of course, it tends to stay warmer in those areas. So when you get your Bearded Dragon, you're going to need heat lamps, but we will get into that. Okay, so when you first buy your Bearded Dragon, this is totally up to you. More than likely, you're going to get your Bearded Dragon as a baby. You want to make sure they have a minimum of a 20-gallon tank. When they become older, or when they grow out of their tank, or even if you want to just automatically put them in this tank, you want to get a 40-gallon tank. That's the minimum tank requirement for an adult. You should not put an adult in anything smaller because I've heard things like it can stunt their growth, it's not good for them, and I always want to play it safe. So you should keep them in a 40-gallon tank by the time they're an adult, the minimum tank requirement. Of course, you can keep them in an 80-gallon and stuff like that. Now, a lot of people say, oh, if I get a big enough tank, can I keep two Bearded Dragons? I don't recommend having two Bearded Dragons in the same tank because they're more than likely, there's some people who have Bearded Dragons in two Bearded Dragons in the same tank and they're completely fine, but there's always that risk of them fighting because of the territorial, concept. But if you want two Bearded Dragons, I would definitely look into that. I'm not a professional when it comes to two Bearded Dragons together, but it can always be a territorial thing, so I don't recommend it. Moving on to Substrate. When you get a substrate, there are many different varieties of substrate. Substrates like Repti carpet, tiles, and mats, anything like a smooth surface, I recommend for a Bearded Dragon. I've used Repti carpet my whole Bearded Dragon experience, and it was great. And there are also substrates like they have the sand carpet. It's like a rocky sand substrate. I would assume that's the closest to their natural environment since they come from a rocky kind of area, but that's also really hard to clean because there's little gaps and rocks and stuff, so it's all up to you really. And now for the most controversial substrate topic is sand. Should you not get sand? Should you get sand? Well, a lot of people don't give their Bearded Dragon sand substrate is because when your Bearded Dragon goes to eat food, they're going to pick up some sand particles every once in a while. And it's harder for them to digest those sand particles, so it can cause impaction. Impaction is when your Bearded Dragon can't digest something or can't use the bathroom, basically. It's like constipation, but for a Bearded Dragon. Sometimes you have to take them to the vet for it if you can't treat them yourself. So, I'm not going to say sand is terrible, I'm not going to say it's great because I haven't experienced with it, but from what I'm hearing, it's not really recommended at all because it can cause that. I recommend Repti carpet, but it's totally up to you, you're the Bearded Dragon owner. Now, when you get your heat lamp, this is the key factor in keeping your Bearded Dragon healthy. You're going to want to get 3 lamps. Well, I only think you need 2, but I'm going to explain that. You're going to need your basking bulb, which will help them digest. You will need your UVB light, which will help them utilize the vitamin D3. It basically just helps them use the calcium that you're giving them. So that's very important. So those 2 lamps, you need those. Now the third is a heat lamp for the nighttime. When they go to sleep, they save their energy from the day to keep themselves warm when they go to bed. So I don't really find the need to keep a heating lamp. But if your room kind of goes below the 70s or like lands in the 60s, low 70s, I would suggest getting a heat lamp because it can be cold for them. My room stays a good 90 degrees in the whole room. It's very hot in here, and it's always like a sauna, so that's why I don't find a need for Fitz to have a night heat lamp. If your room does get cold, I would highly suggest one because it's always helpful for them. I really don't find a need for it. Although I do use one, I still feel like it's a waste, kind of. So that's another controversial topic. It's just my preference. And Fitz half the time doesn't even sleep under the lamp anyway, so what's the point? There are specific temperatures that each spot need to be. So when you have your basking area, say you have your basking rock, you're going to want to keep something under the basking area so they can go up, get to a higher place. You want to keep that area between the 90s or the 100s, not above 110, but keep it in between the 90 and 110. You also want to have a shady area, so when your bearded dragon gets too hot, they can go to a shady area and cool down. You want that to stay around 80 to 90 degrees. Now moving on to decor. Now you don't have to make it fancy because personally I don't think bearded dragons mind what's matching. You don't need to go all out, but I recommend having something, well I don't recommend, this is actually vital, but you need something under your heat lamp so the bearded dragon can go on, and if they want to get hotter, they can go on a raised platform to get closer to the heat lamp, and if they don't want, all that heat, they can get lower. So that's why I have a hammock and a log, or you can put a rock under the heat lamp. It's really up to you. You also want a little hiding spot. Some people don't have a hiding spot, but I do just in case, because when they want to go to sleep, they will actually go in the dark area to go to sleep. You can put plants in there and stuff. I just have a little fake one from the pet store. So you want to make sure they have a cool area with like a dome, and then you want to have the hot area and put like a rock there or a log that they can go up and be closer to the heat. Okay, now let's move on to the diet. Bearded dragons are omnivorous, so they do eat insects and plants. However, when they're babies, they tend to be more carnivorous, and when they're adults, they tend to be more herbivorous. So this means when they're juveniles, they eat more of insects, and when they're adult, they eat more vegetables. So when they're younger, you want to feed them a lot of crickets. You can feed them worms. When Fitz was a baby, I used crickets. Of course, there are many different insects out there, so you can pick whatever one you want to feed your lizard. And when they're older, you can still feed them crickets, or you could start feeding them super worms, larger insects, but only the insects they're allowed to eat. Mealworms, waxworms, phoenix worms, repti worms, all that jazz. So it's whatever you want. So for what vegetables they can eat, they can have collard greens, kale. You don't want to feed them lettuce because there's no nutritional value. So the main key ones are collard greens, kale, anything with a lot of nutritional value in them. I'm not going to go all into depth with diet because I am planning on making a Diet 101 video, so hopefully that will be up soon. It will tell you every food that they can have and what foods they can eat. You can also feed them corn, carrots, peppers. I feed Fitz carrots, peppers, and collard greens, and sometimes kale almost every day. I do put in arugula. And also for their diet, you will want to keep a water bowl in there just in case. That way they can drink from it and get hydrated. When taking care of a bearded dragon, you also want to make sure that they stay hydrated because they're in such a hot area, and even though they are known for, taking in all that heat, they do need hydration just like anyone else would. So you want to bathe them up to 3 times a week. It's really up to you. I bathe Fitz about daily. So the days you aren't bathing him, I recommend misting them down just to make sure they're very well hydrated. Another thing when they're eating, before you take them out, you want to make sure they digest 2 hours under the heat lamp and the UVB light before you take them out. 2 hours is the proper time for them to allow to digest all of the food, and that way you can take them out and play with them after. But a key tip, if you're going to take them out after, make sure they use the bathroom. So put them in like a warm bowl of water. They'll go right away because you don't want poop on your hand or your floor like Fitz just did. It's great. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for all the feedback I've been getting because it's been giving me so many video ideas, and I hope this can help you new bearded dragon owners just get the basics of what it's like to own a bearded dragon. Overall, they're really easy to care for animals, and they're great to have. So, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.